Hi, everybody. We're here again to talk with an industry leader on issues involving the energy transition and digital transformation, among other things. I'm Michael Silber, Event Director for Enlit Australia. We're very fortunate today to have with us Doug Waters, who is Director of Global Energy Services at Uniper. Uniper is an international company with 14,000 employees, and it's active, and the company is active in more than 40 countries. Just a little bit on Doug. Before his work with Uniper, he was head of a local fleet management for E.ON España Generation in Madrid. And prior to that, he led the fleet-wide renegotiation of E.ON's portfolio of long-term service agreements contract for the global portfolio of CCGTs. And during his nearly 20 years in the power industry, Doug has worked in many areas of the business, including engineering, trading, asset management, and operations. And he's been involved in projects in Europe, India, and the US. And he holds a master's degree in engineering from Birmingham, UK, as well as an executive MBA from European School of Management and Technology in Berlin, Germany. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. Good morning.
Glad to have you with us today. I'd like to begin this conversation by asking you to give us a little bit of an overview on the background of Uniper Energy Services and Engineering.
So Uniper is a relatively new company in the energy industry. We've been around since the split from E.ON a few years ago, but we can trace our history back over 100 years through the UK and Germany and Sweden as well. And on the engineering and the energy services side, we have big engineering centres in Germany and in the UK with about 1,000 engineers, not just providing services to our own 35 gigawatts of power plants, but also to many of our competitors and also many clients around the world. So our own generation is primarily focused in Europe and Russia, but we service clients all the way down to Australia, generally providing asset management services, specialist engineering consultancy for power plants, and more recently digital tools as well.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for that background. I wanted to ask you a little bit about we hear two concepts in today's industry referred to quite often. That's energy transition and digital transformation. Can you give us some insights on how Uniper is addressing those two concepts?
Yeah, so the energy transition is all about moving towards a low and then zero carbon or carbon neutral energy generation. So if we think about electricity generation, that means moving from coal and other fossil fuels into renewable and zero carbon or even carbon negative technologies. And Uniper's position in that has grown over the last few years. So our new strategy about empowering the energy evolution is all about making that transition easy. So when you start increasing renewables, you need to modify some of your fossil fueled assets to operate flexibly. And then Uniper's increasingly adapting new technologies and innovations in the areas of things like hydrogen, carbon capture, battery storage, making green gases from renewable sources, for example. And then digital transformations about taking some of your existing processes and systems that you've had for many years and digitalizing them, so making it able to have all your information anywhere at any time in an ordered manner. But also, more importantly, you can use those tools to start to link things together. So you can start to link your maintenance to your operational performance, to your finance systems, and so on. So Uniper's done a lot of work in developing a digital platform for power plants, which links many areas together, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Okay, good. Thanks for that. And so following that, asset management is critical in today's transforming industry. Can you provide us with some more detail on how the Enerlytics platform works in optimizing power plant assets?
Yeah, so I mean, Enerlytics has a number of modules, which, as I said before, are all linked together. So the first of those, and the one we focused on majority of the last few decades, is around asset health. So using machine learning technology to learn the normal operation of the plant, and then look for deviations in that over time. So every 10 seconds, we're taking data from the power plant and analyzing, okay, is that what we expect it to do? So you've got this sort of machine health, how is my asset performing, real time. The next area is about performance. So is my asset doing what it should be doing in terms of efficiency, output, and thermodynamic behavior? And so we've got both online and offline tools for looking at things like, have I got the right number of cooling towers in service, all the way through to what happens if I upgrade my turbine to the latest model. So being able to see that both real time in the control room and back in the sort of office about what my options are for the future. And then another big area of asset management is around managing risk, because managing power stations is generally about managing risks. So we have a number of processes that we've developed within Uniper over time to enable us to identify our risks, work out the mitigations to those risks, and then prioritize those risks, because you never have enough money to deal with all your problems. So you need to prioritize them, both on your asset and across your fleet. And now that's all digitalized, we can link that into the condition that we're seeing, so the existing health. And then we move on to the next area around maintenance strategy. So you start to look at these risks. Am I realizing them? How am I going to deal with it in my maintenance strategy? So when you look at a maintenance strategy processes, we start to define different maintenance strategies for different areas of the plant, maybe condition-based from the health, maybe risk-based from the risks that we're seeing, or maybe time-based, starts-based, whatever it may be. And then the final section is all about how do you optimize your assets against what is a very volatile market. For example, you see volatile markets in Australia in electricity. So you might have very high power prices in a number of periods, and then in Europe we see negative prices for some periods as well, which means you're paying to generate. So how do I optimize my assets against that very volatile power price? So we have a number of tools that enable traders to do that. And then we can link the whole thing together so the trader's decision impacts the maintenance strategy, and we understand the risks and the condition that leads to. And I think that's what Enerlytics is about, joining up things that have been done for a number of times and making it available to anyone, anywhere, at any point they want to do it, in any sort of environment that they're operating, on the trading floor, etc.
Truly comprehensive and cutting edge. The question I have is, and I'm sure our audience has, can the Enerlytics platform be tailor-made for customers, for individual customers?
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the key things we focused on, is some people just want to have some of the applications, so some of the solutions around risk or maintenance strategy or condition. Sometimes people start with a few and then grow into some of the others. People may have legacy systems in some of the areas that they want to continue using, which is fine as well. So it's a very open architecture that allows us to interface with any existing tools people have, and also talk to other systems. So for example, it can talk to your maintenance management system, SAP, Maximo, etc. So it's not like one thing that you plug in and that's it. It's completely scalable and adaptable to whatever you have. The other thing we have to sort out is things around data security, because different companies have different architecture. Some companies want to store all the data themselves, others want to have it in cloud providers. We have very good data security technology that goes with it. And also some customers want to provide all of the services in-house. So they want us to train them up to use the solutions, and then that's it. Other customers want us to provide, for example, in the condition monitoring, we will provide the triage and send the alerts to the power plants. So we have to adapt in those ways as well. Finally, time zone and language and all of these things we deal with as well. So we have different things in different areas of the world to make sure that we can always be there when people are around.
I'm sure you know customers always like to see real world examples and success stories and case studies. Do you have case studies that you can share with the Australian market, and where can executives in this country find that information?
So I guess, I mean, a couple of case studies I gave already about online in the control room, what cooling towers, how many cooling towers don't need to have in service, given the outside temperature and pressure. And we've done some work on modeling boiler fouling live in a coal-fired power station to target soot blowing and water cannoning. They're just two examples that might be of interest in Australia, but I mean, everything's available on our website, which is uniper.energy/Enerlytics. But also you can find me on LinkedIn, message me directly, or contact the company through the website.
Fantastic. And so my final question is, can you give us some information on your activities in Australia and your plans for the Australian market?
Yeah, so we've been active in Australia for about 18 months now. We have a number of clients there from the engineering side and from the digital side. We have a partnership with a company called HRL down in Melbourne, because obviously we don't want to be sending Europeans all the way to Australia to do engineering tasks, and they've got good engineers all around the country based in a number of the locations where there are power plants. So we've developed this alliance with them, and they provide our kind of boots on the ground, but also some of the context in the Australian market to us to apply our solutions. So yes, we've been sort of growing slowly in Australia, and that's why we're participating in Enlit Australia.
Thanks very much, Doug. Thanks for your time, and also thank you for your participation in Enlit Australia. Of course, as you know, it's been moved to March 10th and 11th, 2021 in Melbourne. Thank you for your sponsorship, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael.
You have a good day. Bye.